Welcome back to History Help with JD Queentry. Today, we uncover one of the darkest turning points in modern history, the Nuremberg Laws. Announced in 1935, these laws stripped German Jews of their rights and laid the foundation for genocide. Join us as we explore how a nation codified hate into law and why their legacy still matters today. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode of history brought to life. The Nuremberg Laws, Nazi Germany's legal path to persecution. In September 1935, Adolf Hitler stood before the cheering crowds of the Nazi Party's annual rally in Nuremberg. Amid the sea of swastika banners and choreographed displays of loyalty, he announced a new set of laws that would permanently alter the lives of millions of people. These laws, later known as the Nuremberg Laws, codified racial ideology into the legal system of Germany. For Jews, Roma, and other minorities, they marked the official stripping away of citizenship, dignity, and protection under the law. For Germany, they signaled the transformation of prejudice into state policy. And for the world, they provided a chilling lesson on how discrimination, when legitimized by law, can lay the groundwork for mass atrocity. This essay explores the Nuremberg Laws in their historical context, how they arose from Germany's post-war turmoil, what they contained, how they were enforced, and the devastating role they played in paving the way to the Holocaust. Germany in the 1930s, a nation in crisis. The Nuremberg Laws did not emerge in a vacuum. They were the product of a Germany reeling from defeat in World War I and the humiliating terms of the Treaty of Versailles. The country faced economic collapse, political instability, and widespread social unrest. Many Germans sought scapegoats for their suffering, and the Nazi Party exploited this resentment with powerful propaganda. Anti-Semitism was not new in Europe, but the Nazis weaponized it with unprecedented ferocity. Jews were portrayed as both capitalists and communists, as outsiders controlling Germany's misfortunes. Other groups, Roma, disabled people, and those labeled racially impure, were similarly targeted. By the early 1930s, the Nazis had risen to power on promises of national renewal, racial unity, and revenge against Germany's supposed enemies. Once in control, the regime moved quickly to translate hateful ideology into policy. Violence, boycotts, and intimidation campaigns against Jews escalated. Yet the Nazis also understood the power of law. By embedding discrimination into legal codes, they could make persecution appear orderly, justified, and permanent. The Nuremberg Laws of 1935. At the Nuremberg Rally of September 1935, three key measures were announced. The Reich citizenship law stripped Jews of their German citizenship, reducing them to subjects of the state. This meant Jews no longer enjoyed the rights of citizens. Political participation, legal protection, and recognition as part of the national community were all revoked. The law for the protection of German blood and honor forbade marriage or sexual relations between Jews and so-called Aryans. It also barred Jews from employing German women under the age of 45 as domestic workers. The law sought to enforce Nazi ideas of racial purity, rooted in pseudoscientific theories of bloodlines and heredity. A third law regulated the display of the swastika flag, declaring it the official symbol of the Reich while restricting who could display it. Together, these laws created a two-tier society. On one side, Aryan Germans with full citizenship. On the other, Jews and other targeted minorities who were denied basic rights. Expanding and enforcing discrimination. The Nuremberg Laws were only the beginning. Over the following years, the regime expanded restrictions through hundreds of additional decrees and regulations. Jews were systematically excluded from public life. They were barred from attending universities, practicing professions like medicine or law, or holding public office. Jewish businesses were boycotted, forcibly sold, or confiscated outright. Identity cards marked individuals as Jewish, making discrimination easier to enforce. Everyday life, schools, theaters, swimming pools became off-limits. The laws also codified racial definitions. People were categorized based on the religion of their grandparents, even if they no longer practice Judaism themselves. Mischlinge, or people of mixed ancestry, were divided into categories with varying restrictions. Bureaucrats pored over family trees, turning ancestry into a legal trap. The cumulative effect was humiliation, isolation, and economic ruin for Jewish communities. The Nuremberg Laws normalized exclusion, ensuring that discrimination became not the work of mobs alone, but the daily function of state institutions. Reactions at home and abroad. Inside Germany, many citizens accepted or even supported the laws. Propaganda framed them as a necessary step to protect German racial integrity. For others, silence prevailed. Fear of reprisal, anti-Semitic attitudes, or indifference kept most Germans from speaking out. Abroad, the laws drew international criticism but little concrete action. Some foreign newspapers reported on the injustice, and Jewish organizations protested, but diplomatic ties with Germany remained largely intact. The global response revealed a dangerous pattern. While the world condemned Nazi anti-Semitism in words, it failed to intervene in deeds. From laws to genocide. The Nuremberg Laws represented more than discrimination. They were a legal stepping stone to genocide. By stripping Jews of citizenship, the Nazis made it easier to marginalize, deport, and ultimately destroy them. Once Jews were no longer recognized as citizens, they were far more vulnerable to the radical policies that followed: forced ghettoization, deportations, and the mass murder of the Holocaust. The transition from exclusion to extermination was gradual but deliberate. What began as law ended as one of the worst crimes in human history. Legacy and lessons. After World War II, the Allied powers put Nazi leaders on trial in Nuremberg, the same city where the laws had been announced. The Nuremberg trials established crimes against humanity as a principle of international justice, ensuring that those who abused the law to persecute others could be held accountable. The Nuremberg Laws remain a stark warning. They remind us that injustice can be disguised as legality, and that discrimination can wear the cloak of order. They show how quickly the machinery of the state can turn against vulnerable groups when hate is codified into law. Today, as societies continue to grapple with issues of discrimination and human rights, the memory of the Nuremberg Laws urges vigilance. History teaches that rights lost are not easily regained, and silence in the face of injustice can have catastrophic consequences. The Nuremberg Laws were more than a set of racist decrees. They were the foundation of a system that led to genocide. By turning ideology into law, the Nazis stripped millions of their rights, their identities, and ultimately their lives. Remembering the Nuremberg Laws is not only about honoring the victims of Nazi persecution. It is about recognizing the fragility of justice and the responsibility of societies to defend the dignity of all people. Thank you for watching History Help with J.D. Queentry. The Nuremberg Laws remind us how fragile freedom and equality can be when hate is written into law. If you found this video insightful, please leave a like, subscribe, and share so others can learn from history's hardest lessons. Stay tuned for our next documentary, where we continue to explore the pivotal moments that shaped our world.